You are in the middle of the Sahara Desert, and you are a desert guide. Before the sun even rises, the heat is already pressing down on you, heavy and unrelenting. The air so dry it scrapes your throat raw with every breath. The sand beneath you is still hot from the day before, radiating a steady burn, as if the desert never truly cools, only pretends to rest for a few short hours. There is no real shadow here, no tree, no wall, nothing to break the glare that is already beginning to creep over the horizon. Your first task is always the same. Check the water supply for yourself and for the tourists. You lift each container, feeling its weight, knowing immediately that it will never be enough. The desert teaches you that water is not a comfort, it is a countdown. Every sip shortens the time you have left until there's nothing but heat in your mouth. You see it happen before. A new guide once joined your team, confident after years trekking in smaller deserts. On his first multi-day crossing, he underestimated the heat, gave too much water to a struggling tourist, and by the time the next stop came, his own canteen was dry. He made it to camp, but collapsed into the sand before he could reach the shade of the tent. He never came back to the job. You carry those images with you each morning because they're not rare. They're warnings. Even before you set out, you're already scanning faces, looking for the ones who might not last a day. You feel the responsibility of every step you take, because here the body dehydrates faster than you can drink, faster than you can notice it happening, and when the desert decides you've had enough, there's no negotiating. The only question is whether it takes you quickly or lets you feel every second of the slow burn. Every day begins the same way. Once the sun is up, the heat becomes a living thing, and you have to move before it swallows you. You lead the caravan forward, counting every person, every camel, every container of supplies, because losing track of even one can mean disaster. The tourists walk slower than you would like, stopping to take pictures, laughing as if the desert is a backdrop instead of a threat, and you find yourself watching the horizon for dust that could mean a storm, measuring the wind on your face, adjusting the route in your head without letting them know. The camels grunt and shift under their loads, their padded feet barely sinking into the sand. But you still have to keep checking the straps, making sure no bag has worked loose. Every step grinds grit into your skin, sand in your eyes, between your teeth, under your clothes until it feels like it's part of you. Your lips are split and bleeding, your skin burning under layers of cloth meant to protect you, and your muscles ache from carrying the weight of both your own survival and everyone else's. The desert is not a place that forgives wrong turns. You remember a guide who misjudged a landmark after a sandstorm wiped the horizon clean, leading his group in a slow circle for half a day before realizing it. By then, their water was nearly gone, and they had to push through 30 kilometers without stopping to reach the next camp. One tourist collapsed and never woke up. You carry that story with you because every step you take here is a calculation. Direction, pace, distance to the next water, strength left in each person. You cannot afford a single mistake because in the Sahara, one wrong turn is not an inconvenience. It's a death sentence for everyone following you. The real killer in the Sahara is not a wild animal or a sudden storm. It's the heat itself, and it works quietly. At first, it just makes you sweat more, drains you faster, but then it turns cruel. Your body starts shutting things down to protect itself, pulling blood away from your skin to keep your core alive. That's when the cramps hit, twisting your muscles in the knots so tight you can barely walk. Your mind begins to slip, thoughts scattering in every direction, and the desert starts to play tricks on you. You see water where there's none. You hear voices that aren't real. You forget why you stopped walking. Even the most experienced guides are not immune. A friend of yours had worked this land for 15 years. He was strong, careful, and he thought he knew exactly how far he could push himself. One afternoon, just a few kilometers from an oasis, he started to feel lightheaded. He told the group to go ahead while he caught his breath, but no one noticed how bad it was until he stopped moving completely. By the time someone went back for him, he was gone. Out here, the numbers are merciless. In summer, The Sahara can reach over 50 degrees Celsius, hot enough to burn skin through thin fabric. In those conditions, a human body can lose more than a liter of water per hour, even while resting in the shade. Without replacement, confusion sets in within an hour or two, collapse follows soon after, and death is not far behind. You don't see it coming until it's too late, because the heat doesn't roar like a lion or strike like a snake. It waits inside you, patient, and when you realize what's happening, you're already too far gone to stop it. The Sahara attacks the mind as much as the body, and when it doesn't shout. It whispers in ways that make you doubt what's real. Hours under the sun turn the horizon into a living trick, a shifting ribbon of silver blue that dances just out of reach. At first, you think it's harmless. You've seen mirages since your first day in the desert, but for the untrained eye, they look like salvation. They appear as lakes glittering under the sun, with palm trees swaying at the edges, and to someone already desperate for water, they're more convincing than any truth you can tell them. Tourists see them and point, insisting that water is right there, that if you don't take them toward it, you're leading them the wrong way. You've learned that the danger isn't just a hallucination, it's the belief that follows. There was a group of 8 you'll never forget. The air temperature was close to 48 degrees Celsius. The heat radiating off the sand and waves so strong it made your vision wobble even in the shade of your headscarf. One man, sweating through his shirt and shaking from exhaustion, spotted a perfect pool in the distance. His eyes lit up like a man seeing home after years away, and he broke from the group before you could stop him. 2 others followed, thinking they were helping him find safety. You shouted for them to return, but the wind swallowed your voice. You had to sprint after them, your boots sinking deep into the sand, each step pulling at your calves like weights. By the time you caught up, they had gone nearly a kilometer in the wrong direction, convinced they could already feel the water on their skin. Turning them back was only the start of the problem. While you were chasing them, the rest of the caravan had slowed. The sun reached its highest point, and the weakest tourist had collapsed. Her lips were white, her pulse weak, her breathing shallow. You radio for emergency help, but the reception was broken, the signal lost in the static. You rationed the last of your water, forcing yourself not to drink even as your own mouth felt like sandpaper. It took nearly 40 hours for a rescue team to reach you, and when they did, 2 tourists had to be carried out, unable to walk from dehydration. No one died that day, but you still think about how close it came. And the worst part is knowing that if she hadn't survived, you would have carried that weight for the rest of your life. Out here, it doesn't matter if the mirage was the one that lied or the tourist was the one who ran. If someone doesn't make it back, the guilt finds its way to your shoulders and never leaves. It starts as a shift in the wind, barely noticeable at first, a faint hiss against your ears as grains of sand begin to dance along the surface. Then the horizon darkens, not with clouds, but with a wall of dust rising so high it swallows the sun. You know what's coming, and you have only minutes to act. You shout for the caravan to tighten up, to cover their faces, to hold on to the camels. But the tourists' eyes go wide with fear, their hands fumbling with scarves and goggles. The temperature drops suddenly, the light turns a sickly orange, and then the storm hits with the force of a freight train. Visibility collapses to nothing. You cannot see your own hand in front of your face. The sound is deafening, a constant roar that drowns out your voice no matter how loud you scream. Breathing becomes a battle, every inhale scraping your throat raw as sand forces its way into your mouth, nose, and lungs. It stings your eyes even through the fabric, the grit working into every seam of your clothing, coating your skin in a layer of heat and abrasion. Your equipment suffers just as much. Compasses jam, GPS devices fail, and maps are useless when every landmark is erased in seconds. You've seen dunes flattened and new ones built in the span of an hour. Trails buried so deep that even camels hesitate, their instincts telling them that nothing here is as it was. Once, a fellow guide tried to push forward through a storm like this, thinking he could keep the group on track by memory alone. When the storm cleared, they were 10 kilometers off course, deep in a basin that trapped heat like an oven. 2 camels collapsed, and one tourist had to be evacuated by helicopter after collapsing from heat stroke. Out here, you navigate not by roads, but by the sun and the wind. And in a sandstorm, both can vanish, leaving you in a world with no up, no down, and no path forward. You learn quickly that the desert doesn't just blind you, it erases the world around you. And if you move without absolute certainty, it will erase you too. Years of guiding in the Sahara carve themselves into your body in ways you can't undo. The sun leaves its signature on your skin, thickened, leathery, and permanently marked by burns that never truly fade. Your lips are a map of old cracks that split open again every season, and your eyes sting at night from years of squinting against glare that could blind you without warning. Inside, the damage is worse. Your kidneys ache from the constant strain of dehydration, and you drink water more out of survival than thirst, knowing your body never fully catches up. There's a fatigue that doesn't go away with rest, a dry ache in your bones that reminds you the desert has been taking its payment from you day by day. And for all that, the pay is barely enough to keep food on the table. You risk your life to lead strangers across a place that kills the unprepared in hours, and when the trip ends, they shake your hand, thank you, and fly home with stories of a daring adventure. For them, it's a memory to share over dinner. For you, it's another chapter in a life measured in dunes crossed and close calls survived. You think of the storms, the heat, the mirages, the endless weight of responsibility, and you understand that the desert doesn't let you walk away untouched. Every guide knows someone who didn't come back, and you carry those ghosts with you. Out here, the heat is patient and merciless, and it doesn't give second chances. One mistake in the Sahara will keep you forever